All right. Hey, welcome back to the second TFT podcast. Unfortunately, we got another season. So we have thusly dubbed the name of this masterpiece, this beautiful ship with the collusion of just mixed metals from all across the globe, the Titanic. I think it's a genius title. I will be the host today. My name is Zachary, also known as Postal Jeebus. And with me, I have the boys who are going to introduce themselves.
I'm Pedro, also known as Arcadian Ghost, Jin McCain on League of Legends and other forums.
I'm Richard, also known as Beholden Yeti, on literally everything else.
I am Seldon Polchinski. I am known as Guy@1 or Mr. C in League of Legends.
Actually, in League, I'm known as Seldon Sucks at League of Legends.
Okay, well
Yeah, actually, I also want to add that my last name is Leo. I kind of felt left out on that one.
What? I literally didn't introduce my last name.
I didn't either. Seldon was
Anyways.
the only one that did that.
Yeah.
Anyways, so last season we mentioned all our sponsors, the Anonymous Pizza and dinner and eating ASMR, but now we might have actual news and sponsors. Who knew?
Okay, so our sponsors are Keg and Coin, a Beer 30 arcade here
Yummy,
in Jacksonville,
yummy.
Florida. Additionally, Joystick Food Truck, a food truck here in Jacksonville, Florida, and GLHF Game Bar, which is a game bar based at the Landing, which is getting shut down and they're moving locations. So stay tuned to figure out where they're going to reopen. And
Yeah, when we find out, we'll tell you.
It's kind of crazy that the landing is just closing like that.
I mean,
it's Go ahead, Richard.
there was never really. Every time I went, there was never crowded, like at all.
I only saw homeless people.
There,
Yeah, to put it bluntly, it's really
Homeless people in the mall?
no, it's like an open mall. It's not like actually indoors at all. It's basically all open and pretty. Not, it's like downtown Jax, which no one wants to go to downtown Jax really. They
Yeah.
kind of want to go to the other areas.
Dude, no BM on that place. But the only thing I remember about it is walking in, Seldon being like, "Oh, wow, nice," and then being like, "Where are my socks?" And then we spent 45
No, that
minutes
was a different
trying
mall.
to buy
Different mall.
Oh my!
I mean, it does. The memory stays regardless.
Yeah. Was it traumatic?
Shit. Annoying, maybe.
Did you ever
dramatic?
find the socks?
Yeah, I got them. I got a pair.
No,
I
not
still have them.
actually.
Zach, was that the trip where we shot the video where we threw the skeleton out of the car?
That was the trip, correct.
That was good. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, that
Wait,
was-
wait,
that was
I
part
haven't
of
heard
the-
the story. Can I hear it?
We
It's
have
a video.
It's
on
a
our
video
channel,
on
tfteam.com.
What?
It basically, the premise of the video is I'm driving, Richard's in the backseat of my car, Zach's
Mhm.
following us in another vehicle with the action cam recording, and Richard just chucks a full-size skeleton model out of my car as we're driving down the road.
And then I almost hit it.
It was
Huh?
There-
that was pretty good.
Yeah, no, we actually used a real road too. It just happened to be a road that literally no one used. If someone showed up, that would have been super awkward. That skeleton has lived through like 8 videos,
Do
and
you
I
still have it?
don't know.
The last thing that happened to that skeleton
Oh no.
was an old member of TFT kicked the head off of it into. It was at nighttime, and there was lights where I was recording, and they kicked the head into the shadows. And I think I still have that video, but they kicked it barefoot, and they seriously fucked up their foot.
Yeah, 'cause
Skeleton's revenge.
Because when you first got your car, you stuffed that guy in your back seat and dressed him and shit, right? And then
Yep.
you
Oh my!
casually
Gabby dressed him.
gave away his body parts. Like I think Jillian had his legs, and then there was just the torso left. This is probably after we threw the whole thing out of the car, but
Yeah,
you guys.
I'm just trying to imagine, imagine you guys dressing up the skeleton and then throwing it out of the car. Like some poor old lady just
He had
watches
some
this happening.
Fancy ass clothes too.
Like, like she has to call the cops, right?
No.
You guys gotta do in like a really sketchy neighborhood too.
It was off a service road, so the only people who would see it would be like construction workers, and I don't think they get paid enough to care about some idiot teenagers throwing
Messing around.
skeletons out of their car.
There's also the
God,
video where you guys have it in a
having a
shopping
good
cart.
time.
Yeah.
Okay,
and-
that video is seriously good.
I love
Um,
that video. That was off
we
the
can-
Hardcore Henry too. We haven't even addressed anything. That's crazy.
Alright. So let's start with some TFT news, and then we'll get into our topics. Selden?
That's one of you two. I was supposed to get a script for this, but I
Okay.
was not given it.
In terms of TFT news, we have a new Apex tournament online. It's $90 for the winners, so that's $30 a piece. It's open invitation, and anyone can jump in it. So if you want to if you're new or want to get involved in the TFT community, this is a pretty good way to do so. And then we're gonna have some other tournaments coming up. We're starting up a lot of movie nights. Basically every week we watch a movie and we watch it on Rabbit and jump in and have a good time. We watched The Thing the last week. Not too many people showed up, so if people requested, we could watch the same film again. But we'll probably switch it for now to a different one. We're also hosting some. We're working with the Microsoft stores right now to kind of host a larger scale tournament, but that's in the works. I got an email from them today. A little update on that is that so far it's going pretty good. They really liked my update to the PowerPoint presentation that I did. I did a presentation a couple weeks ago, and they liked the update that I did to it, and they want me to do another follow up on the 4. So that's what's going on with that. And in terms of our teams, Pedro, do you want to take it?
Yeah. So we have 2 competitive teams right now. We're potentially adding a third, but that's still in the works. We have our main team, TFT, that plays in GRLCS, which is a league based out in the Midwest. I think primarily Oklahoma and where else are they from? Kansas. Yeah, primarily those 2 states. But we're playing really well. We actually just beat the number 2 team in the league and are currently 3-2. What the? We're currently 3-2. We have won 3 games in a row in that lead, and have been performing really well. We actually added a new support called Deathmoo. He's been playing really well, replacing Itzel and also Bear, who due to the military hasn't been able to play. And then in GSPC, we actually just played a do or die match. It was the last game of the regular season against Recon 5, where we needed the win to make playoffs, and we were able to get that win. We lost the first game, but we're able to bounce back in games 2 and 3 to end up with a 2-1 series win. So those boys did really good. Really proud of them. And then TFTA just joined a new league called Immortal Gaming. They had their first match last week, I believe, and they won 2-0. So they played really well in that league. I think Impressed might have had something like a 10 KDA. So yeah, they were playing pretty nuts.
Yeah, that's so far still in the money in all of our leagues, which is really good, and that's what I would like to hear whenever our teams are doing really good.
Another note: if you would like to be a guest on the podcast, please direct message Guy@1 on Discord. Send him as many messages as possible. The more messages you send, the more likely you will become a guest on
He
the
actually
podcast.
likes to be spammed, so that's how you have to kind of get
Yeah,
up
he will only choose the best, and then he will inform me, and I will deny it potentially. All segues through him. All right, so first topic, probably the best, is Halo for Steam. So
Oh man.
Okay.
this is like Microsoft has been kind of for a while. You know, Microsoft a while back decided that they weren't going to do exclusives anymore because they wanted to appeal to a mass market, which on paper it seemed like an extremely good idea. The highest market players of all time is on PC because PCs are much more affordable and widespread. So appealing to those people seemed like a no-brainer, right? To just try to appeal to them. But they received a lot of backlash because Microsoft people really love exclusives. So it just seemed really weird. But Microsoft's like, we're not done yet. No. We're going to introduce Halo on the computer. So it's really cool. I really also appreciate that they started releasing it canonically. So Halo Reach will be the first game to come out. followed by Halo 1 Anniversary, Halo 2. Unfortunately, it's Halo 3 and then ODST, which is backwards. But
I thought they kind of happened
And
at the
then
same
Halo 4.
time because the jump. No, you're right. It is backwards
The
because
jump happens
it's in
in
Halo
Halo 2.
2. Yeah, the jump happens in
Yup.
Halo 2. That's interesting.
Yeah, I really thought I don't know, maybe it's an oversight. But the only thing I thought it was really cool. I look forward to playing because it says campaign and dedicated servers will be coming out on release. Which, thank God, the only one that doesn't get multiplayer is ODST. Who cares?
Yeah.
And the only thing that I thought, I'm really confused because I believe they're releasing the achievement list. So if you have games for Windows Lives, whatever, you get double down on achievements. Except Halo achievements are actually kind of hard. But I don't know about DLC, and I'm curious what kind of standpoint they're going to take. But they're all going to be sold individually, probably
Well,
full price.
Oh, each of the games are sold individually?
Each game's sold individually.
Whoa.
Well,
'Cause they're
I
not
thought it
gonna
was
do
a
that.
bundle.
You
okay.
can buy the bundle for cheaper, but
Mm.
each one's an individual piece.
I think it's because, well, I read, and this may not be true, but I read, like, if you buy the MCC, like, if you already own it, like, on the Xbox,
Yep.
then you get it on Windows Store, maybe not Steam, but the Windows Store for free. You get the multiplayer for free. You still have to pay for the stories.
I know. Oh, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
That is true.
That kind of I can see that because I know they released the you can play Halo 5 or I don't know. There's some Halo you can play right now on the PC for free. Some
Halo 5
multiplayer.
and Halo Wars.
Halo 5 is
And
not
Wars?
on
Free?
PC.
I don't know about.
Halo 5 is not on PC.
I'm pretty sure Halo 5 is game that Windows Live, so you can play it on PC.
Yeah, I think you can just play it on.
Games to Windows Live was introduced after the Halo 5 came out.
It doesn't matter. They went back.
It might just be the Forge that's on PC. I'm pretty sure
The
there's some
Forge is
multiplayer.
on PC. The Forge for Halo 5 is, but the Halo 5 itself is not, because that was like everyone was having a big problem with that. We're like, okay, what the hell? But the actual game itself is not yet, anyway, not on PC.
Either way, super exciting, and it really put a spit on Epic Games' face after they had such a weird exclusivity with Metro.
Well, okay, let me comment on that, because I personally don't use the Epic Games Store because I don't play Fortnite, and I was gonna get at Metro,
What?
but I didn't. The fact that it was on the Epic Games Store didn't like prevent me from getting it because I didn't really care. I just decided to wait a little bit for it to come out, and then I just haven't gotten it. I may get it in the future. Anyway, that was huge when they found out that they switched over to the Epic Games Store, and then a couple of other games did it after that. See, that's not really the Epic Games Store's fault. That's Steam. Steam is taking way too much of a cut for their games, so all these people are going over to the Epic Games Store, which is not nearly as user-friendly as Steam is. So that's why everyone is so pissed off. But
I mean, it's also like, doesn't Steam deserve to take a big cut?
Not as
Just
much. They take so much.
They take way
They
more
do
than
take a
they
lot,
need.
but like, you got to remember, Steam is huge.
Well,
So
is
saying-
Fortnite. Fortnite is on top of the world for the past year, and so that's what really.
Fortnite's also free.
Well, yeah, but my point is
That's a huge
the
problem.
way you get the Fortnite is through the Epic Games Store, so people now know about the Epic Games Store. No other store yet, even Origin, has been a real competition to Steam. But since Fortnite is on top of the world, it kind of brought this other store to light.
I'm gonna be honest. The Origin isn't a competition because of how bad it is. Like, I don't know if you guys have been playing Apex Legends at all,
it's
but
awful. Yeah.
it's so bad. Like, I would totally be fine with having a competitor to the Steam, but it's like, wow.
Origin itself isn't very bad. It's how they manage it.
I think the UI is alright, but besides that, it's like it feels so buggy.
I don't know. I literally get lost in that UI. I'm like, where am
Yeah.
I? How do I add a friend?
I'm like,
Yeah,
wait, am I buying a
aesthetically-
game now?
Because
when I try to download Apex, it wouldn't go to my games library, so I had to figure out how to download Apex like from a third party just to be able to play the game. And then after a week, it just suddenly appeared in my library, and then it worked fine.
Yeah.
all
there's
right,
a
Origin,
delay
if
on
you
that.
want to change this game radar review, just contact us. get a sponsorship, we'll gladly sell
Yeah,
out.
then we'll talk good stuff about you.
But
Because
another
Origin is only
Origin
for
is
EA,
such
right?
a great client, man.
I don't know if you guys have
I don't
ever
know what
tried
it is,
to.
but I changed my mind.
I don't know if you guys have ever tried to buy games through the Windows Store on your PC.
Oh,
That is, it gives you the same feeling as Origin, but it's like
it's worse.
worse. It's like I feel like I'm supposed to be using a controller to be using my
Oh.
computer,
Oh,
and it's
have you
such an awful feeling.
have you ever used the store on Microsoft 7? I think it was. It was the worst experience I've ever had. Like,
Dude, I had a Windows phone. It was really good.
I would say
I
that
still have.
my only real experience with the old Windows Live store, was when I got Grand Theft Auto 4 for PC, and every time you launched that game, it made you go into you have to sign into your like Xbox Live account to save your
Yeah.
game's progress. But back then, I didn't really keep track of all that stuff because I was like, oh, it's just on my Xbox, blah blah blah. But it was
Exactly.
going through the process of recovering accounts and it asking you every time to get in, and then you had to go into the social club for Rockstar. There was so much stuff to get into
that's
that,
the actual worst.
and it was awful. It was literally terrible.
But that's
yeah,
why
I've never
Steam
used the Windows.
flourished so much because
I'm
they
looking-
just made it as simple as if Rockstar has its own thing, you only have to use a Rockstar thing. Because with like Origins, you still have to go through Origins garbage, and then if you use an Ubisoft game,
Oh,
yeah,
rip.
have fun.
Literally rip.
Have fun with Uplay.
You play.
Hey, I'm looking at the Microsoft store right now, and it looks like it's designed to be looked at on like a tablet or a phone. This does not look like it should be made for a PC.
Well, you remember
Yeah,
Windows
Is it
8?
like everything's scrolling? Is like everything like
Oh, Windows 8. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, Windows
Yeah.
8. That was
Yeah.
the one that I hated.
Windows
And
8.
it's like, you know, if I used a tablet or I tried to buy stuff on my phone, when I used my Windows phone, it felt kind of nice. But like, it's a little bit. You should probably have a different site for each type of device you're running if you're gonna make it special.
Yeah.
Oh, I had to download like third-party software to like make it more similar to Windows 7 because I couldn't stand it. I remember when Windows 8 first came out, they didn't have a search bar. Like when you open the window, like you click the Windows key and then you can type stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it just wasn't there. And
What would
I had
pop
to
up when you hit the
download a
Windows key?
third-party one because I didn't know how to use it.
I don't know how
what would
much
pop
you
up
guys
whenever
are.
you hit the Windows key?
What'd you say?
What would pop up when you hit the Windows key?
Your desktop.
Like it would like bring up the thing on the left side, and then Life at a Glance, all that stuff would be there, but there'd be no place to type.
It'd
would just-
bring up your desktops and then all of your applications on like
Yeah.
big boxes, and you could scroll through them and all.
Oh, so you had to go looking.
Yes.
Yeah, you
I
had to
was
go looking.
I was lucky enough
But-
never to get a computer that ran Windows
The
8.
interesting thing is, I don't know how much you guys peruse Stack Overflow and everything. The interesting is they had a search bar. They just didn't implement it right away because they had a problem implementing it.
Oh
And
yeah,
so-
it eventually came out. I remember that, but it wasn't out
Rather-
at first, so I just downloaded it myself.
It was out on release. It wasn't linked on release. So within like
Oh.
12 hours or something, people were going through all the files, and they found a way. There's like a 30-minute roundabout so that you could add the search bar to your bottom.
Wow.
And
Do
you
they
had to
really
modify
think-
like 30 files. It was so weird.
Do they really think that not? I feel like if it was me, the obvious play is to just delay it until I can get this core functionality of Windows to work.
Well, I don't remember the reason. They had a big reason. They said that so they were trying to appeal to what was the new upcoming market, which was mostly, a lot of people are working on their phones and tablets and everything like now. So they were truly trying to make it tablet friendly. So if you were using a tablet, it felt normal to just swipe through everything and then just figure
Yeah,
out
it makes
what
sense. I get it. When I'm on my phone,
Yeah.
I swipe up. I look at my apps, I swipe through them all, and I pick the one that I'm looking for. It makes sense.
Exactly, and that feels normal. But like they didn't really. It seemed like such an oversight, but they didn't really think about people using it with their mouse.
Yeah, the bigger problem for me was I had a little laptop from Asus, or I think some people pronounce it Asus. I don't know. But it was like this
Asus,
tiny,
it's
like 13.5 inch laptop. Tiny is there's like what do they call it? Like a web book or whatever. And like I had to use the trackpad, and it's like as soon as one of those screens comes up, like the Microsoft Store or something, it was so obnoxious to get out of because I think it was like a tiny X like in the top left or something. I had to click just to get out of it, or I had to alt tab her. I hated it so much. Oh my!
Yeah.
Like when my
But I'm
Oh,
excited
bad.
for Halo.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you. Halo,
Oh.
I'm pumped up for that.
Halo has always been a big for me.
Yeah.
Sheldon and I used to play a lot of Halo when we were younger. So it's maybe just the nostalgia factor of it coming back, but that's good enough for me and
I
most
agree
other
with
people.
I agree with that because for me, Halo 3 was what actually got me into gaming. I remember back when I lived in New Jersey, my cousin had an Xbox, and every time I visited him, I would play so much Halo 3 with him, even though I was horrible. I'm pretty sure you could put like a level 1 bot and it would do better than me. They abused me. They abused me so bad in
You
that
have to
game.
take your lumps. That's part of. If you don't get your ass kicked over and over again as a kid, you will never get good at a video game.
So
That's all
made a
there is
map
to
for
it.
that. So made a map. That'll take your lumps.
I remember spending so many hours in Forge just like making maps and everything, but it would like always be dumb. Just like I think I was like 10 or something, so nothing made sense. I was just like throwing stuff that I thought was cool everywhere.
Yeah.
All right, so we're
Well-
mostly excited. You want to add anything, Richard, before we just try to?
Yeah,
move
I
on?
do, because I want to talk about the potential that I mean, there's so much potential with finally putting like the original Halo on PC, or I mean, the original trilogy, and then 4 and Reach. But I feel like they can also fuck it up really badly, and it would
easily.
be a colossal disappointment. Because remember when the MCC came out, it was
Okay.
actually
They
awful.
recoded the
released-
entire MCC. Like they actually recoded the whole thing.
Yeah,
I can't imagine they'd mess it up again after they learned their lesson. To me, it seems like Microsoft is going to bite the bullet on this one, and I think what they're trying to do, because I think they're trying to revive Halo esports and Halo as like the game, right?
to get ready for Infinite.
Yeah, it's because like people in the I'm not sure if you guys follow the Halo competitive scene too much. I follow it pretty good because I like to be involved with it. But the Halo
'Cause you're a
3
speedrunner.
that's the Halo 3 competitive scene was starting to get bigger than the Halo 5 one. And so then they said, okay, well, let's take a look at what's happening. And I think that's why they went through and are
I didn't
redoing.
realize there still was a competitive scene for the old Halos.
Isn't
I will
that crazy?
say, they released in their press release talking about this that they realized how much of a blunder the first rendition of the Master Chief Collection was, and that they strive to never try to get. They specifically said we are going to make sure that doesn't happen, and we are going to specifically dedicate servers for each different part. So it just make it easy to
Okay.
screw it up, but in the end, if they do worse than El Dorito, they really are just screwed.
Yeah.
That
El
makes sense
Dorito's
why
actually
they got
pretty
shut
soft
down.
now.
You remember last year they were big for like 4 days. Like it was giant because they completely redid their engine. I played during those 4 days and it was
Yeah.
It was great. It was Halo 3 with like 60 FPS on on PC and you had a blast. But then after 4 days, Microsoft came in and was like, yeah, no.
Thinking about it now, they probably did that in preparation
For
to build
this.
up the hype for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but all right, that's just one topic that we spent too long on. But that's the most exciting. So there was a couple of articles which I thought were pretty interesting. They did a recent test in Russia. There was a bunch of other physicists in there. I don't remember any of their names, of course, but they actually successfully moved the particle back in time, breaking the second law of thermodynamics. And it was actually a very, very elaborate study on it, and it was not to get into a lot of goojy-moojy details, but they observed an electron going back 1/1 billionth of a second in time, which sounds like whatever, but I believe they also stated that they could, if they have enough manpower on it, they could actually 1/1 billionth many other times. They could observe electrons moving back places.
Now, did this happen accidentally, or did we make some kind of some kind of device that was trying to make this happen, or
We were trying to do it, but there was a lot of formulas. One of them being Schrödinger's formula, And since most mathematical formulas can be done in the reverse, like if you negate everything and multiply by,
Yeah.
you can do it in a different way. So they were trying to use principles like that, and they were using a quantum computer to try to, because you can't calculate where an electron is field because it's a cloud. They were trying to find a position where it was B and then measuring where it should be, and they found those two to be discontinuous. So they were trying to do it.
Man, I feel like every time in science, it's like we zoom in more and like we start kind of figuring out something, and then we're like, okay, well this seems true all the time, and then every time it's like this is always true, except for this one time where we don't really know why it doesn't do like that. I feel like
Except for
there's
some time
every-
where the windows open and then nothing
Yeah.
worked.
Yeah, I
But
feel
yeah,
like it's
that's why it was so big, is because the laws of thermodynamics are laws. You know, for the second law to be broken with this is like, well, I guess
yeah.
we're gonna have to add a clause.
Yeah, and maybe we just
Interesting.
kind of make rules before we understand them. Like, I feel like it's with everything. Like, even with mammals, it's like, oh yeah, all animals give live births. Well, except for, don't worry about that one animal that doesn't. Don't worry about that one that lays eggs. It's just like
Yeah.
everything's like, ah,
Wait,
I
which,
mean, the only
which
reason
mammal
I
lays
brought this
eggs?
topic up.
platypus.
Oh, yeah.
There's another one. There's another one too, but I can't remember what it is. It's in the platypus family.
Echidnas.
Yeah,
Really?
that's what it is.
Echidnas.
Oh, I thought you said a kitten.
Now I'm imagining a cat just laying an egg.
Like a
You go
chicken.
to clean the litter. You go to like clean the litter box, and there's just an egg there.
Get out of my head!
Oh,
But the only
speaking of
reason I
which.
mention it is because it's just like a hopeful thing of this potentially gives an opening of maybe time travel is a potential possibility. It's an actual potential possibility.
I was actually having a discussion similar to this with somebody the other day. I'm not sure who it was, but what we were talking about is how people in I think it was Ethan actually. We were talking about how people in space technically move at a slower time, so they are kind of time traveling.
That is
because,
true.
Like, and like speed as well. Like the faster you're going, the slower you're going, like in time. So that's kind of a form of time
Yeah,
travel.
like,
where
Yeah, we
like,
actually do have a
time.
world record for the only time traveler, and it was a astronaut who traveled around orbit and went 0.0034 seconds back in time.
yeah, stuff like that. So imagine if we could actually put humans at the speed of light, so we could like see what life would be in a billion years, even though for us it only felt like 10 hours. Like that'd be insane.
Yeah,
It
it's
would
crazy.
be. I
'cause-
feel like with time travel, if they do figure out how to do it one day,
That shit's banned.
Yeah, I was gonna say, who has access to that? Like,
The
who?
rich?
Why would you give? But I feel like there's certain rules for time travel because one person can fuck up something colossally, like be in
Well-
the future or the past.
It probably would be.
No, I don't think it's not going to work like time travel like that. Like what we're talking about time travel, it's like the electrons being off and stuff. I think it's just, with those guys, it's probably that thing with just the speed. And I think it's all speed. I don't think you're ever going to necessarily you're not going to be able to go back in time, but you're going to be able to do this thing where time is traveling a lot faster than you are. And so you are slow, and so everything else like
Yeah.
years will pass you by and you'll be fine.
Well, I believe what it's more referring to is not necessarily, going back to yesterday. It's more of resetting an orientation. Because usually when people refer to time travel, the major example they give is imagine hitting billiard balls and they scatter in every direction, and then they suddenly form back into the triangle. So the point is not that, time went backwards. It's their orientation got reset. So like,
So, in your
the
case,
use-
it's go ahead. My bad.
go ahead.
Kind of. I'm making a reference to the League of Legends character Echo, where he kind of goes back in time for seconds, but it's more like he's resetting what just happened, but he still has the knowledge that he had 4 seconds later, right?
Yeah, because it also restores his health, and everyone else is still moving. So it's not the physical time around everyone starting.
It's just
it's
him.
just his internal time.
Yeah. Okay, that makes
Mhm.
sense.
So,
There's
but
an
it's
interesting theory on it. So this is a cool theory that I want to talk about. That it's related to time travel. So it's like, imagine we find this inhabitable planet, like 40 light years away. Okay, so it'll take us 40 years to get there. So we have this crew of people who are going to board it and they're going to go to that place. And so they're riding, and it takes them 40 years, or maybe like 400, and they're going to hypersleep or something, right? But by the time they get there, the place is already populated and full of humans, because everybody on Earth, while they were spending 40 light years, those were regular years, many, many regular years for people on Earth, and the technology advanced so much that they were able to create some kind of wormhole or anything else and beat them there. So then those people.
Can you imagine?
So it's like, yeah, isn't that like a really interesting thing to think about?
That's actually
I'd be
really cool. I've
pissed.
never thought about that.
I'd be
But
pissed.
honestly, it's like you embark on this journey thinking you're gonna like be a pioneer. You're gonna be like Columbus or something, and you get there, and everybody and their grandmother has already beat you there.
Exactly.
Well, so that's why, because that's actually how we figured out how old our universe is. We look far enough into it that we see several hundred light years ago what that origin point looks like, because that point has not, the light from there has not fully traveled to us yet, so we haven't seen it yet. And that's is a big theory that, maybe it's not that there's no life that we haven't seen yet, it's maybe we're so looking so far in the past that it's actually there, and it's
Yeah.
gonna take us forever to find out.
So what Zach is talking about is on the farthest we can see with our best scopes, because light takes time to travel. Light years takes time to travel. So everything we see is old. Like a lot of stars we'll see, not a lot, but a few stars we'll see are actually gone already.
Yeah, they're not there.
And what Zach's talking about is the farthest we can see, the very edge of our universe
Visible
that we know.
Visible
is-
universe.
Things are being pulled by gravity in a way that we can't explain, because we can't see past that yet. So outside of our field of view, things are being pulled. So there could be another universe outside of our universe with gravity affecting ours.
But that's also
That's the
super crazy, because if we
multiverse theory,
watch,
right?
Nah, the multiverse theory is something different. That's like
Yeah, it's more of just
every time you do something, it creates another universe. and
Oh,
it just
It's like
butterflies into something else. That
it's like
actually
save
has
states.
to do with time travel, which I was going to mention. One theory is like, let's say time travel in the classical idea is possible, where you can like go back and like kill Hitler or something. The idea is in the multiverse theory, when you
Alright.
go back and the better theory is when you go back and kill yourself as a kid, you'll still exist in the future, because the future where you exist is a different universe than the one you went back to.
That makes sense.
Yeah, by going
Yeah.
back in time, you actually created a different universe. You killed that universe's younger you, so that
Get
universe's
fucked.
older you will never exist.
But one thing that I really liked is, if I think it was Neil deGrasse Tyson who said it, is if we took our biggest telescope, and we put it at the farthest point that we can see, and we aimed it back at us, and we could get there instantly, we could watch our civilization be built. And so the thought of like, we look
wow.
out and we see organisms starting to form, we could literally watch their civilization from ground zero. And that's insanely cool idea.
that
Like a
is
big mirror.
yeah, like a big.
Yeah, I've heard
Like
of
a
that
big
before.
old mirror. Yeah.
I've heard of like people mention that before, but I never really thought about it. That's the one I always thought about is like, let's say the sun blows up or something. It will take a while for us to even realize it's happening.
8 minutes.
And 8 minutes. That's how long it would be for the sun. So imagine like a supernova from a star that's a couple hundred light years away. Like we might not even know it, and like in a few years we're just gonna blow up. But
I think we
like
thought,
seeing the other civilization, that's actually really cool.
I think for a while we actually thought the North Star was in a supernova the whole time because of how bright it was. Can't
Really?
remember if there was something about that.
There's this thing that, if you want another fear to worry about, there's like this thing that can happen with a supernova, where on the axis of the sun or the star, it can shoot this like death ray essentially.
Yeah, I know.
And if we are in the, like, we could be in the direct, if it travels a lot faster than light, so if we were in the direction of it, we wouldn't even like know, like we wouldn't even see the thing explode before we're hit by the heat, the radiation wave of it.
You're saying it's faster?
Yeah,
the
it's
speed
like
of light. Yeah,
it's not. It's like it's like some kind of radiation. I don't. Obviously, it like you should not take.
they're
what I'm
not
saying with
gamma
any
rays.
kind of,
They're
yeah.
I was
Oh.
thinking it was gamma rays, but
Disclosure: none of us
I
are
don't think gamma
scientists.
rays
Yeah,
are
I-
faster than
This
light.
is something I learned about a little while ago. So
This kind of sounds like the thing I always do, where I read something some like vaguely 10 years ago or something, and it sticks with me, and then I retell the story, and it's like completely different than what it actually was originally, and I just look like an idiot when I get called out.
It's whatever. We're not. If you come here to get educated, sorry.
you're making a mistake.
oh man.
But to segue onto a better topic, is I'd like to ask all of you guys a question.
All right.
What do you think is the closest planet to Earth on average? Average.
On average, like how
What-
close it would be, like in terms
Like
of
if-
like travel time, or like
if you-
literally distance.
If you take a full year of Earth going around the sun, which planet, on average, is the closest distance?
Wait.
Mars, right? Would that not be the closest?
if it's not Mars,
there's
then
one.
Venus.
There's one of them that does a weird loop, but I don't think it affects it. Yeah, if I had to guess, I'd say Mars, but because you're asking this question, it seems like it's a trick question. I'm gonna
It's
say Venus.
Pluto. It's Pluto.
See,
So it's
Pluto.
actually,
Oh my bad, Joe.
it's actually Mercury.
Really?
that's a little shit planet.
No,
Fuck
no,
that
no.
planet.
Now
Yeah,
to explain
honestly, who would want to
The-
live there?
it, the planet that actually gets closest to us is Venus. That is considered our sister planet
I was
because
right.
What?
it actually has the
Oh,
most.
yes.
Yeah,
It
it's
has-
the closest to our size.
Yeah.
It also is the closest to our atmosphere and our distance from the sun. But
That was hot as
yeah.
fuck.
Yeah, because the greenhouse gases got trapped in the atmosphere.
Mm.
That doesn't happen if you don't have an atmosphere. Think about that. Anyway,
I
So
think
we
the
get a
average
little
temperature
greenhouse
is
gas
very-
in our atmosphere. We're all dead.
That's what I'm
The
saying.
average-
I don't
not a
want the
little
greenhouse-
bit. Not a little bit.
The thing
Spray
about
your
Venus is
hairspray.
the average temperature is similar to ours, only because their lows are so goddamn low and their highs are so high. Like I think they have like 732 high Celsius, but their low is like negative 232.
Oh, hang on. Going back to what we were talking about with the rays that could kill us all, there's someone posted in chat. They said it's called a gamma ray burst. But
Yeah,
like,
I was
gamma
thinking gamma ray, but I didn't think they were faster than light.
It's called a what?
gamma ray
Gamma
burst
ray burst.
Oh, yeah.
by
I've heard of
Michael
that before.
Michael Guerin.
Oh, yeah,
Fucking-
that's my friend. That's the top
Cool,
winner
really
for
glad that
TFTA.
physicist came in here and fucking ruined our day. Whatever. Anyway, so the
Hey.
reason
Meteorologist major, by the way.
that Mercury is closest, and this is recently recalculated because it used to be thought that Venus was on average closest, but it's because of how short Mercury's year are. Mercury's year is only 88 days. So during that time, we're still sitting in our slow loop, and it's already past the sun like 3
Oh,
times.
that makes
And it's
sense.
gotten extremely close. But by that time, Venus is on the other side of the sun to us.
Man,
Wow.
thinking
I
about
mean,
all this
88
space
days?
stuff, dude.
That's flying, dude.
88 days.
I was thinking about that actually, because I was thinking maybe the position of the orbits don't align with Earth. So even though we're close to Mars, it's probably on like the other side of the galaxy or something.
Yeah. So the end gets it when they're on the opposite side of the sun from us, because Mercury is also on average the closest planet to all other planets in the solar system
How does that work? When with
because of how fast it goes around the sun.
Yeah, because the distance from the other planets will always be small just because they're wrapping around so fast. So it'll
Yeah.
always spend some point at like whatever distance is the smallest, and it'll spend more time there because it's wrapping
It
around
spins
so
so many
fast.
times. Yeah, that's interesting. That's
Oh,
cool.
and even when it's at its farthest point, it can't be as far away from the other planet as, say, Saturn. 'Cause
yeah.
when Saturn is on the opposite side, it is far.
To put it in perspective, 1 year for Jupiter, one rotation around around the sun, is 12 years for us.
Dang.
So like
Which planet?
Jupiter.
Oh, wow.
So that really like if it only gets worse the farther out you get. But I just thought that was super cool because NASA was like, yeah, no, it's always been Venus, and they're like, well, oops.
That's like
we
with the time
recalculated.
travel thing. It's like, oh, it's
That
impossible.
was wrong.
Wait a minute.
If somebody lit a match on Jupiter, would that motherfucker blow up?
No.
I've heard about that before.
Do you think
like,
you could
you
light a match
imagine?
in a hurricane?
Ooh.
I guess.
What
that's
if, what
true.
if the hurricane is composed of methane though?
It's the force of the wind, not the composure.
Yeah, but I can just make a spark.
Yeah,
Spark
you just
should
need a
be nice.
spark.
I mean, I guess, but I don't. Let's see what Jupiter's made out of.
Can we talk about how sad it was when our fucking rover died?
When
Yeah,
what?
I was so sad.
Oh
I was
my,
so
yeah.
sad that I was
Well-
talking to Zach about it. I said,
Oh, it's made of
somebody
hydrogen.
needs to go up there and fix it.
Apparently, it's been dead for a while, but they finally decided it's like, it's been dead long enough. We haven't gotten anything back. Now we'll announce that it's dead.
They need to send
literally-
another one up there to specifically to fix it, and then bam, we
Wasn't
got
he the
two.
second one though?
Opportunity. This is the opportunity. Yes, this
Yeah.
is the second one,
They were
And-
shipped at the same time. They were sister droves.
and this one lasted
Okay,
way
okay.
longer than they thought it would.
This
because
one
it-
was
Yeah,
It
it was only
was
supposed to last like 6 months.
It was
Yeah,
supposed to last
this thing lasted
90.
so
No.
long.
It was supposed to last 90 days, and it lasted for 5 years.
Wow.
And then its last transmission. Have you guys heard
It's
it?
getting dark.
It says
Oh
my batteries are low and it's getting dark, and that was the last thing it said before it fucking died.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I remember that. This is pretty funny. Everyone
ever
was
s-
so sad about that.
Have you ever seen the YouTube short where it's like the two rovers on some distant planet where they have to like look for some gem and
Yeah, you showed me that shit. You
yeah,
literally showed
that's
me
what
that.
that's what I thought of when I saw the transcript for it's getting dark. Like it was just the scene at the end where he like sees his battery, he looks up and his like
I think it's fucked.
yeah, his thing is just like blown away, and he just knows he's dead. That's how I imagine Opportunity's face as he's sending that last transmission. And the worst part is, we wouldn't get that transmission for like I don't know how long it takes, several hours, several days, however long it takes for it to get here. That whole time, he's already dead. Like
Well,
it's just
the-
done.
To put that in perspective, we have some super ultra like high tech propulsion rocket, which we don't have enough fuel to actually get to it. But it's like a nuclear rocket. It works
Blow
like
up
as a
Mars.
reactor propulsion system. If we use that rocket, assuming we didn't have to worry about fuel or weight besides the actual physical weight to get it into space, it would take 6 months for that rocket to get to Mars one way.
Wow.
Well, yeah, it's 6 months. It's a 6 month flight, right? Like that's.
It's 6 months with our fastest.
Yeah, but if we make all of the electrons on it go back in time over and over again, it won't take that
Oh
long. So
my.
that's just my theory on that.
No, we
Yeah,
just
I
make
mean,
it go at
that's the potential.
we just make them go at like speed of light, and then have it I don't know
I
where I
gotta
was
say,
going with that.
close
I
to
was
the
gonna say
anyway.
the Selden.
You
what
can
he
never
said
actually
earlier.
reach the speed of light. You can get close to it.
All right. Anyway, what do you guys think about Sekiro? What do you guys
About
thoughts on
what?
that? The shadows die
Uh,
twice.
I've seen nothing about it.
Oh, so now we're
Shadows Die
bringing in our
Twice?
own topics. All right.
It's the new game coming out.
It looks. It's really a toss up for me because there was.
We
I
touched
forgot-
on this last week.
What's
Did
it
we?
called?
Yeah, we
Okay.
talked about Secure last week. Because
Crap,
we were
what's
like,
their-
oh, the
it's
developers
something
are really
software.
good, but
Is
Oh,
it
that's
From
right. You're
Software?
100% right.
Oh, is this
Is
a
it From
PS4
Software?
exclusive?
no. It's on PC.
Is it From Software?
From
That's the name of
Software
it,
is the
right?
developers, but the
Okay.
publisher is
So-
Activision.
From Software gave some keys out for people to do like a 20-minute demo. So I did want to
TFT.
touch on this a little bit. So they did do a 20-minute demo for some people, and I saw the 20-minute gameplay, and I thought it was really cool, but it just gave off too much of a this is an inferior Dark Souls vibe.
Really?
Because there's no rolling, there's a lot of blocking. The enemies are like all really humanoid, which makes sense, and they really use a lot of story to explain why your character can come back to life, why the enemies come back to life, which is really cool. But it just, I don't know, the look and feel of the game just gave
So
me that weird vibe.
It's
But
like
it'll probably be
Asian
great.
Dark Souls. From what I see.
It's a
Um,
weeb Dark Souls is the #1 review it's been
Yeah.
given.
Sure.
Huh.
I can see that. Can we talk about the Hearthstone expansion?
Hell
Have
no.
you seen it?
We don't talk about Hearthstone here.
Has anyone seen it yet or no?
No.
Blizzard sponsors.
I don't play Hearthstone, so I can't help you
You're
there.
on
Postal,
your
I know you
own.
play. Have you seen anything on it?
Yes, I've seen it all.
What do you think about it so far?
I think the twin casting idea is kind of lame. It's
You
like
kinda
an
like-
inferior echo. It's just like I don't know. The only twin casting or card I saw just didn't seem.
Yeah,
like
we'll have
it
to
was
see
cost
some other
appropriate.
cards.
Wait, so
Yeah,
explain it to me as someone who has no idea how to play Hearthstone.
It's
Oh,
a card.
God.
So
Card that does the same thing, but only once.
So what happens is you have a spell. Let's say your spell is deal 1 damage to the opponent. If
Mhm.
it has the twin cast option on it, you cast it, and then you get another version of it in your hand.
Okay.
And then when you cast that one, it's gone forever.
Uh-huh.
So this is kind of cool because a lot of the challenge that they added to Hearthstone was limiting how many cards you can have, how many copies of a card you can have in your deck. So
Okay.
you can essentially double that with the twin casting.
What's the limit though on how many you can have?
2 of each card, or
Okay.
1 of legendaries.
Yeah, so you can double value, which is pretty intense.
Wow, that's
So
a
having
lot
4
more harsh
one
than
card is
Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, it's a very
Uh,
harsh.
Yeah,
Very
I
harsh.
guess. But
What-
Yu-Gi-Oh
what
also
are the
has up to
what are-
60 cards.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what are the deck sizes in
30. No more, no
30?
less.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I got you. Yu-Gi-Oh is supposed to
40
be up
to
to
60.
60, but almost no one uses 60 because when you build a deck, you want the cards to come up, so it's usually around 40. But
Yeah.
30 cards. Wow, I guess the limit does make sense in that then.
Old Yu-Gi-Oh had some control decks that would draw super slow, but like it was like I don't know. New Yu-Gi-Oh is kind of like you just kind of kill them if you draw your cards, so you want to draw your cards.
Old
Yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh also used to allow Exodia, which let 1 turn wins in tournament happen, which happened like on 2 different occasions where it was banned thereafter because of that.
I thought
Well-
Exodia decks were still allowed.
I think Exodia's deck I think Pot of Greed is no longer allowed.
Yeah, that
Pot
card
of
is banned.
Pot of Greed is banned. Some tournaments will allow Exodia decks, but most of them will not allow the Forbidden One cards, i.e. the hand, the leg, the head.
I
However,
thought they
there
nerfed
are
it by making it so you could only have 1 copy of each.
you can. That's been since the day
Oh,
one.
okay.
But there are different types of Exodia cards which give you power. Anyways, we don't know enough about Yu-Gi-Oh to talk about that.
I had this really cool Chinese Exodia card, and it was just
God
one card. It was
dang
just
it.
one card.
God
It was
damn
Exodia.
it.
So cool.
Yeah.
All
There
right.
is a 1 card. But anyways, what I wanted to talk about, because I thought the Mercury thing was rather cool,
Yeah, that is
Mhm.
pretty cool. I didn't know that.
especially because NASA, we live in Florida, we gotta
And I live in
represent. But-
Texas.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
never done anything with like Cape Canaveral.
Really? Okay,
What?
we'll have to schedule an event. We'll
We-
do an
you
I
guys
event.
haven't
did one.
either.
You guys did it once, but I couldn't go because
Yeah.
I had work the next day. I was so sad.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
messaged at 3 in the morning for it, so.
Anyways, the
Trash
deepest
tag
shocker.
is becoming popular. So I thought
What
that
is?
was trash tag. So
Oh,
much-
trash tag. Yeah, yeah.
How much do you
Oh,
guys know about that?
yeah. I've seen it all over Reddit.
What
Oh,
is
we can
it?
do it. It's
So
a
it's
it's
trash tag. So basically, they find parks, lakes,
Oh, I did
rivers
see this. Okay.
that are covered in complete filth, and then they post the before picture of it being disgusting, and then the after picture.
Hey,
And I
when's
thought-
TFT doing this?
I know we should do one, but for the TFT house.
I thought I thought that was a very, very cool idea, and that it gained a lot of traction for something so wholesome.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
trying to. That's what's more surprising to me, that it gained so much traction. Because I saw this the other day, and it's like, how did he manage to get it to go viral?
I don't know. It's crazy because it's just like every other thing you see, where it's like some older disconnected guy's like, "Let's get this to go viral," but then this time it actually worked. It was like, what the
Yeah.
fuck's happening?
It's like this and the ice bucket challenge. Both of them like just blew up so hard, but I don't necessarily understand why.
See, what sucks about this is, I mean, it's great that it's so viral right now, but like, this is something that really shouldn't end. Like all the other stuff that
Yeah.
gets popular, but it's going to.
You know what we should do? Like,
Good ends. So
we could make it much easier on ourselves. We just get a bunch of bags of trash. We take pictures of us in front of it, and then we
And
throw
then
it on the
spread
ground.
it everywhere.
Yeah, we throw it on the ground, and then we take the picture of that, and that's when we say, "Look how much cleaning we did." It's like we don't
Yeah.
have to do any of the work.
Oh, shit.
So that's probably one of my favorite things about the internet is the weird things that it clings to. Sometimes it clings to people picking up trash, and sometimes it clings to an egg. You know,
Oh, what's this egg?
God, I hated the egg. Why did that go viral? That's the same
the
thing. That was
number
like
one
early
picture-
internet culture.
The number one picture on Tumblr is an egg. It's just a
No,
picture
No,
of
it's,
an egg.
it's
Instagram.
Instagram.
Graham,
It's
that's right,
because
my bad.
Kylie Jenner, right? She
Because of
posted a
Kylo Ren?
No,
That's
Kylie.
really weird how you did that.
I don't know. I don't remember her name, but she like posted a picture of her baby or something. It's like, oh, look at my baby, and it being the highest posting thing, and then all of a sudden
everyone was upset.
the egg comes out. It's like, just make me the highest.
Well,
posted.
someone was like, I don't
Oh,
like
here it
highest
is.
like.
Viral egg is more
Upload
liked
this
than
egg.
Kylie Jenner.
Yeah.
It's so dumb. It's like
It's-
Is it just because there's so many more kids on the internet now? That's the only reason I can think that would happen. Because when I was like in middle school, that's the stuff I would have liked on the internet. And I can only think that there's now everyone's on their smartphones and everyone's a young kid on the internet, and so everyone's like, we can do this because we are all together. I remember that when I was like, it must be kids. That's all I'm saying.
Are you
I think
calling
it's
me
kinda
a
like the-
kid? I like the egg.
Oh
I think
my
it's
god!
I think it's like the PewDiePie thing where people want to compete, like they want to compete against like this big name, other thing. So they're like, subscribe to PewDiePie instead
Well,
of this
you can-
big Indian company. But in this case, it's like, oh, we're
You can
going to
give the
show
same
how much
thing.
we don't care about Kylie Jenner by upvoting this egg.
Exactly. You know, we don't want this random celebrity to be the most popular person on this site. Instead, we want this random no-name guy who had this funny 5-second idea. But again, I really
being
just love
Kylie
what the
Jenner.
internet
Wait.
just decides to cling to.
Wait, they didn't just beat the record; they obliterated. They're
Oh,
like
they like
three
doubled
times.
it. Yeah.
Oh no, it's 3 times from what I see, and this was on. When was this posted? Okay, I'm really glad this website decides not to tell me the date.
Okay,
it posted
you
the
guys
article.
caught me. I'm jealous of the egg. I'm jealous that I didn't think of it.
Yeah, what if we do that for TFT?
I was gonna
Like
say.
this more than the egg. We just
Instead
post
of-
our logo.
I think we've beaten this topic. to
Oh,
death.
guys, so are you guys tired of seeing Kylie Jenner and trash? Watch the Tea Fish Taco podcast. I bet you won't.
I bet
anyone-
you won't. That's how you get him. That's how you get him. I bet you won't.
Anyone
9 out
have
of 10
any-
people won't watch this.
Anyone have any last minute
When were we gonna
points
talk
they
about
want to
the?
make on the trash tag?
Oh, the trash.
Yeah.
No, I just think it's good, and it sucks that it's not gonna stick around.
Hey,
Well, I'm glad
don't
it
say
started
that.
in the first
Don't
place.
say
'Cause at least we know that wholesome things can also go viral. Like the last one I remember
Yeah.
before this is the ice bucket challenge. But it's like most of the things going viral are the dumbest things. It's like half the time these things go viral, whatever started it has to come out and say, "Please don't kill yourself. It'll look bad on us." Like what was the one with like
Tide
Drake?
Pod.
Tide Pod was
Yeah.
one. The one with Drake where like people were like filming from the driver's seat and they're dancing outside of their car, so their car is rolling down a hill, and like one person got hit. Like these people, why are you doing this on roads that people use?
People are
You
dumb.
know,
Why?
I gotta agree though. I'm really glad that of all the things that have been trending recently, this is like not only not hurting someone but helping someone.
Yeah, exactly.
helping
I
the
agree.
environment.
Pedro, I'm with you though. I think we should host. We should do like a TFT trash.
Oh, I'm so down.
Oh, dude, all you have to do is show a picture of your kitchen sink, and then
That's what he's saying.
clean that
No,
up.
let's do the TFT house.
No,
No, not the house, the sink.
The house is clean now because Morgan does all the dishes for us. So it's. Ever since she moved in, I'm like, wow, the house is like, for some reason, all the dishes are always done.
Well, the
Thank you,
kitchen is.
email.
I don't know if the house is. Like, have you walked upstairs? It's like a competition with the clothes to like get. It's like playing a game of hot lava, but you never lose because all the clothes is just covering the ground.
I was gonna have a girl over. I cleaned it all up.
Oh my! I'm telling
Speaking,
you.
I have a story. Hold on. This happened last night. I met a girl.
Before you start your story, I'd like to preface this that Selden mentioned that we shouldn't have tangents. Anyways, continue.
No, I didn't say we can have tangents. I said some stuff. I met a girl on the internet on a popular app, which I will not mention because they not pay me.
You fucked.
and-
Popular app.
I was on the way to meet with her, and I ran into a girl who I have been hanging out with already. Okay.
Mhm.
And I just was hanging out with that girl, and so I had to make a decision. Which girl would I rather hang out with right now?
Oh,
I'm literally walking to Keg and Coin, our sponsor. I was walking into there, and I ran into her on the sidewalk. The other girl is inside Keg and Coin. So I don't want to be talking to both of them at the same time, because that would be awkward for me. So I say, "Hey, what's up?" And they say, "How you doing?" I'm like, "Good." They'd say, "Where are you going to Keg and Coin?" I said, "Yeah, I was just not really doing anything, so I thought I'd head out here. Check it out."
Oh my god!
You're
And-
an idiot.
She said, Then she kind of was like, "You're just gonna go to Keg and Coin? You're not meeting anyone?" And I was like, "Oh no, I was just gonna go there."
Oh
says-
my
You
god.
are idiot.
She says, who just you had nothing to do on an afternoon, so you just decided to go to a bar alone?
And you
I
didn't segue into your sponsors and saying, I love visiting Keg of Coin.
I said,
I feel like you
I
could
was
have played
like-
it off like that. Just say like, oh, I'm here for
just
our
like,
sponsors.
I was like, okay, shoot. Well, I was like, what are you guys doing? I'll just follow you guys. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, please don't go to Keg and Coin. And they didn't. We walked past it, and it was all good. And then later on that night, she brought it up again. She said, so why are we going to Keg and Coin? It just seems weird to me. And I'm like, oh my god, this bitch is onto me. So I said, they're our sponsor, so I had to go there, and I usually will see talk to them and keep up good relations and stuff like that. And she was like, oh, okay. And I was like, whew, I'm good.
He didn't say that.
I did, I
what
saved
about
it.
What about
Yeah,
the girl
the girl
that
you
was
left
waiting
in
for you?
there.
The girl that was waiting for me, I totally blew her off.
Oh
her.
my
You're
god.
such an asshole.
You're a piece of shit.
This seems like one of those situations where you end up with neither of them.
My
Yeah,
favorite thing is,
probably. Yeah, sure.
No, that's not true. He did make a choice. He chose to say fuck it to the girl number 2. So that means he's
Yes.
got a chance, right?
Yeah, but you
I
could have
said-
at least came up with a bullshit excuse to like give her.
I
No, no,
did. Oh no, I said nothing. I literally just ignored them all night, and then they texted me later on saying they
You
would suck my
ghosted
dick.
her.
So I think it's okay.
Wait, wait,
Wait, you're into that.
wait. Do we
though,
have to
right?
censor that?
No, it's okay. They're overage. It's okay.
Oh my.
It's so
oh
that
my.
same night,
Over age.
I-
What age?
the same night, she left early around 12, and I hung out with her friend that she was there with until 2 a.m.
Oh my god.
And I don't really drink a lot of beer, but it was a like craft beer, so it's like all these whatever. And so they kept buying me drinks over and over again. So I just kept saying yeah, and I didn't realize how much I was drinking. And then at one point I went to the bathroom and I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, holy shit, I'm so fucked up. This is like I couldn't go home. So they left me and I was alone and I couldn't drive. So I
You
was just
just
playing
sat there
Dig
and
Dug
cried.
at Keg and Coin.
You
And
said
they
ping
said-
pong?
Dig
Dig
Dug.
Oh, Dig
And
Dug. Okay.
I'm actually pretty good at that game. So the lady
No,
said,
no, hold on. You were so drunk that you were like, I'm so good at this game.
No,
You said
I'm
you're running into
legitimately
the
good.
wall.
I'm legitimately good at that game.
I don't know. I think Zach
She literally
story makes
said to me,
sense.
she said to me, when you finish that game, she's like, oh, after you finish that game, we're close. You have to head out. I had all my lives. I said, it wouldn't be anytime soon. I just walked out. I was just like, I'm not gonna lose. And then I had to get a lift home. And then I'm not
She
saying my
called
car
me?
was towed,
I would have picked you up.
but I was really worried it would be towed whenever I went there the next morning. It was okay. Morgan drove me. And
Oh, was it?
that's it for my story. I was just worried my car would be towed and it wasn't. But yeah.
Oh, okay.
The other part didn't really
Huh.
matter. It was more about the awkward situation I was in.
That you
Huh.
put yourself in.
I feel like
Let's make sure that's in there.
are our sponsors going to want to hear this story? Like,
Yeah,
Hey.
they love it. I just talked about how I brought 3 people to Keg and Coin.
This is why
Wait,
we
no,
don't
you
talk
told
to
us-
women.
you told a story about how you instead of inviting the girls into Cat and Coin, you made them go.
No, we came back.
past
We came
it.
back to Keg and Coin.
Oh, okay.
This is why we don't talk to women. You know.
Yes. Okay.
Wait, are we
Yeah.
really putting this on women now? Wasn't this more like Selden's fault?
No, it's 100% Selden's fault, but
Okay, I'm just making sure here.
I can relate with the other 3 guys in the chat if I blame it on women instead of him.
So do you have any other topics?
I don't know, dude. My white armor
Yeah, I
is
got
kind of
more
shining
topics,
pretty bright
but are we
right
gonna
now. Like, I
segue
polished
into
it.
weird other topics or?
Nah, it's okay. It's
Well,
okay. I just-
okay,
I
hold
figured
on,
it
hold on, because we are approaching an hour now, so we can go for like another 10 minutes or so. Zach, what are the topics that you have left? We'll do one more.
Well, speaking of cheating, I was
Oh,
gonna
my.
mention the college cheating topic. I don't know how, but I keep managing that way into every topic I got. It's crazy.
It's almost like you prepared for this.
It's almost like I have like 45 topics, and you guys are so. Anyways, so there's a recent scandal. Recent is some word I would like to use just to not date this podcast. Shout out to you, Sheldon. So the recent scandal of a bunch of people, mostly rich people, almost entirely rich people, buying their kids into college, either through SAT scores or directly buying through college. And what's interesting is like if you ask anyone younger than like 25, they're like, "Yeah, no shit." But but all the older generations are like, "What? people do that, and it's crazy because like at my school, it's not, or at the school I graduated from, it wasn't uncommon for the school to get donated a building, and then suddenly a whole family is taking courses and they're
And getting all
4.0.
great grades.
Yeah, 4.0, and then they meet the advisor. One thing that happened at my school, which was crazy, is there's one of the teachers had a policy of if you fail to meet this this class day, it was like a test grade, and if you didn't show up, you failed the test. And so he did that, and one of the students was like, "No, I'm not showing up. I'm not getting that F either." And he's like, "You can't do that. You get one or the other. You either show up and don't fail, or you fail and don't show up." And so the guy called the board, and his family happened to be very with the board. I believe is like his uncle was a member on the board, and then the teacher got a message saying he's not failing, give him a pass. And the teacher's like, "What the heck? Why am I teaching if you're gonna give him the grade?" And I just thought it was really crazy.
Does the teacher quit or what happened?
No, the teacher's like, "I don't care, whatever. You're gonna fail it anyways."
See, like that what you brought up is really interesting. Where you said everyone below 25 is like no shit. Because before you said that, I was thinking, yeah, no shit. Like everyone knows that already happens. But the fact that older people are surprised by that is actually something I wasn't expecting. But
Yeah,
and I've heard so many stories of stuff like that where like rich people like get in. I mean, have you ever looked at schools like Harvard, Princeton, all those, like how many of those people just happen to be like super super rich and happen to be like on the board, friends with like members and stuff, like donate so much money. I mean, it's just like to be expected because the school is obvious. I think it's a little bit of a win-win for everyone because the
Because it doesn't
school
really
gets
bother the
the
people who go. Like,
what'd you say?
it doesn't bother the people who go to school with the rich kids because it's like, what the hell ever, you know?
Yeah, because if you're legitimately going to one of those schools that's like really high like that, you probably have like some kind of sponsorship or scholarship because you're like really actually know what you're doing. But maybe
And the
that does
school
bother
can
them
I mean, the school can afford to give you the sponsorships because of stuff like that.
because of those people. Yeah, I see. I can see it.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
like-
exactly. That's what I meant, like a win-win, because those people give so much money and resources to the school. The school can afford to do
Whatever.
To
Princeton,
sponsor other people.
like Princeton and Harvard. I think something like 90% of their students don't pay any kind of tuition because of scholarships. Like
Yeah.
when you get into those schools, you pretty much don't pay.
Yeah, but the school is still making money off a scholarship.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
It-
The schools
I-
make money.
If we
They have
want
a
to,
huge alumni system,
I don't
too.
think that schools should ask for so much money because I think the amount is, it's like almost like
No, what's
I don't
crazy to
know.
me is it almost
That's
seems
a
like
bear of itself. I
they
gotta
don't
say.
care because it's like I went to Rutgers, right? I paid $25,000 for 1 year, and then I couldn't get more loans to keep going there. So all of a sudden, I had $25,000 in debt. Which, by the way, after 10 years of paying, it'll be $40,000 that I paid back.
That's
And
child's play.
I pretty much lost all my credits because the school credits didn't transfer to the net school I went to. So it's like, and then text, like on top of that, they force you to like buy textbooks.
Buy
or you
the
can only use it
textbooks.
online. It's
Yeah.
so absurd.
Yeah.
where my
and
money go?
Also,
My-
all those textbooks are monopolies that are partnered with schools. So
Yeah, it's partnership. Like if the teacher wants to help the students out, half the times they're not allowed.
access codes too, because
Yeah, because they realize people are
sold
pirating.
separately. Yeah, dude, I pirated.
Yeah, people
Kappa.
realize
I
that
didn't
they were
actually
like
do that.
pirating. So now they have to like they have all these like codes that you have to have and you have to get like it's like crazy.
Yeah.
One
But,
teacher told me that supposedly those access code, like those math lab or all those other ones, actually do help students learn better than just giving them like paper. I don't fucking know, but like,
oh yeah, for the students who care and give a shit, it's totally great. You can actually learn a lot.
yeah, like they
For
actually
everyone
have
else-
pretty good information.
Well, yeah, because they also tell you they like have videos on how to physically do each problem. Another version is your best friend, especially if you're not trying to do anything. But if you want to know my opinion on the Kennedy family,
Wait, what did you say?
I have a slightly negative opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Just to
Likely.
note, our president Kennedy got through Harvard, and almost 8 of his papers are 100% plagiarism.
Mm-hmm.
They were
nice.
written by someone else,
Why not, dude?
and he passed with straight A's.
That's what I'm saying.
Seems
Hey,
like a
if I had
kid
the
thing to
money,
do.
but the thing is, put me in
Is
that
that-
situation, I would do the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
no,
the same thing as
100%.
like
I
student
gotta agree.
athletes. It's the same thing with student athletes, where like the ones where they know they're going to the NBA, a good majority of them are not doing their classwork. They're all like communication majors because it has the easiest classes. They're taking like 12 credits, the minimum they can take, and having people do all their homework for them so they can focus on like working out. And then once they get into the NBA, none of those classes really, or whatever sport they play, once they get into that, it's like none of those classes mattered anyway. There's very few of them that actually want to be in school and learn.
Man, there's so much predatory stuff
Such
on
a
those
sucker
people.
and shut-in. I wouldn't have done all those programming assignments for those people, but hey,
Yeah.
Oh, I made so much money, like
I didn't make
writing
it.
papers. I made like thousands of dollars at Rutgers, like doing people's assignments.
I got like 3 people to pass C++.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
I'm
funny.
for it.
And those people, all these people that get displaced like that, who are getting all this stuff done for them anyway, because a lot of them had like probably a bad high school. They grew up in a bad neighborhood, and they were able to get, because they play ball all day in their neighborhood, so they're able to like really hone their skills in these sports, and then they're able to transition that to college to do basketball, and then when they're in that, and then they get scouted in high school, and then they go to college, and then they get in the NBA or whatever. And there's so many predatory practices on these kids who literally have never had money, and now they have money, and like all these people go to them trying to sell them and trying to scam them. And then a lot of times, like after, especially with the people who have shorter careers, like they just have no money at the end of it because of the people that told them, oh, you should get this, you should get this, and then
Oh, that happened. I think
Actually, why they put
Allen
them in business
Iverson was a
degrees.
big case. He was spending, like, once he got into the NBA, and like he became a superstar. Like he could have been one of the best players in history. Well, he kind of is, but he was spending like $100,000 like going out with his friends, like just throwing money at people. Like, and by the end of his career, he was almost completely broke because he just threw everything away. Like he came from like the slums. Like he had nothing,
yep.
and he just didn't understand how to properly use money.
Well, and a lot of these people, there's people that abuse that, like they know that, and they go to them and they're like, oh, I can help you, like, and you should probably buy this property or invest in this, and it's a good, like, all this kind of stuff. It's like,
I think that happened with
Why they usually try to get them
NFL
to get
player.
business degrees.
It was like they told the guy to invest in like corn or something. I forget. I don't 100% remember the story. I just remember like the guy came to the NFL player and said, "You should invest in such and such, and then I'll take a small cut." And then the business just failed and pretty much bankrupted the player. But the guy who he invested through just takes the initial cut, and it's like, oh, he made away with his money. He doesn't care.
and I'm sure he bet on some
Mm.
stocks in that too. That's like, oh, the stocks will go
Yeah.
up in this because this guy's investing. I'm sure he made money on like
Yeah.
every end of it.
Which, by the way, is highly illegal. So you can't do
We
that.
It doesn't stop people, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are coming up on an hour and 10 minutes. Was there anything you wanted to talk about left, Zach? Like anything specific that's important?
So the only thing I have left that I would wanted to mention is James Gunn being rehired, because
Oh, is he
the only
actually?
reason
he got
was
rehired.
actually rehired, and the only reason I wanted to mention it is because it just seemed like some bullshit to begin with.
James Gunn. Who is James Gunn?
He directed both
Guardians
of the
of the Galaxy
Guardians.
3.
He's the guy that got fired for having like controversial
Homophobic.
tweets like 10 years ago.
Yeah,
Oh,
Twitter
perfect.
posts that came back to haunt him, which seemed to be the norm this past
Yeah.
year. So he got fired shortly. It was pretty much after Infinity War came out. Like once all the
Yeah,
hype died
right
after that, then James Gunn
as soon
fired.
as it was announced that he was going to direct Guardians of the Galaxy 3, they did some snooping. But the reason that I was like, that shouldn't have even happened in the first place is because there's a big difference between work life and personal life.
When
you
you're
know.
famous like that, it doesn't matter. People.
Yeah, I
don't
was gonna say
distinguish
that.
the two.
But that's the
Supposedly-
problem. That's the problem with being a celebrity. You don't really get a personal life. It's like that NBA owner who like said some racist stuff about his players to like a girlfriend or something, and she like recorded and showed people, and he tried to say, oh, what I say in my personal time shouldn't reflect on me owning a team. But it's like, dude, you're a major owner of a major team.
Yeah, you should be held accountable for things you say.
Yeah, you can't just
So-
call your players the N word and then expect it to be okay because you said it among friends.
Yeah, it's
But,
different though
so
if
that's
it's
where-
like
that's where I
you made a
draw
tweet years ago.
big
though.
line. But see, that's where I'm drawing a big line. So someone like Kim Kardashian, whose goal is to be in the spotlight 24/7, and there's like a blur between their regular life and then their celebrity life. You know, it's like, all right, you know, if you're saying something, how am I supposed to know when you're off the camera? Okay, you should be held accountable. But if it's someone who's a director who's not like, yes, I need everyone to know me. They're just like, I want to make money making movies. It's like, well, you know, as long as your opinions don't show up in the movie negatively, what does it matter if you say?
Well,
some
I have a
stupid shit?
counterpoint
That's
to that
all.
argument, Zach. But
That's fine.
I think that if you make tweets like a long time ago or anything like that, there should be like a statute of limitations after a certain amount of years. Like, 'cause the
Of course.
community, like the whole entire community, like the whole world, the globalization, like the community that it has gotten a lot tighter and a lot more different now. It's a lot different than it used to be. But the argument that I would like to present against what Zach said is everybody has the right to do what they want with their own dollar. And if they really don't like the director of a movie because of something he says, like, and as actively preaching on the side that's not related to the movie, and he's like, if everyone ever hangs out with him in person, he always says that or whatever. It's like, I don't like that director, I'm not gonna give him my money. So it should be acceptable for a movie company to not rehire someone because people are boycotting that person in terms of directing the film. That makes sense for that, but I said,
I agree.
I don't think digging up is
freedom
okay.
of expression. Yeah, they're just expressing their beliefs by boycotting the movie because it has a director
Exactly.
that they disagree with. I do think it was a little blown. Like you said, a statute of limitations. I don't know if that's necessarily the best way to put it because like maybe they didn't change. But if you can see growth, like it's been 10 years and he hasn't done anything similar in the past 10 years, like obviously the guy doesn't think like that. He was young. He was being I don't know if he was necessarily being young. I think he was 42 when he said it, but it's like he's learned from doing that.
People listen. People don't care. Like the people that get offended to that stuff, like tweets from 10 years ago, and they have a right to be, but I don't think it should completely ruin a career, so to speak. I don't know. That's just my opinion. But what you're saying, Selden, there should be a certain amount of time that's passed. Let me bring up a quick topic. John Wayne, who's been dead for nearly 50 years.
I'm John Wayne, Pilgrim.
He had a really controversial interview with Playboy magazine in like 1970, where he said some pretty racist stuff. But
John Wayne was a standard white man, though, so really.
yeah, but now, last week, 50 years later, people are pissed because he said this thing, and they want his name taken off of this airport or something.
That's like where you take it a little bit too
That's
far.
where I was
50 years ago.
Statute of limitations example. Because
That's like hating the guy who wrote Huckleberry Finn because he says the N-word a lot in the book. It's like
because there's a big difference between what I was allowed to say 50 years ago and what I say now. Because of how people take it. And you know, that's not a bad thing. Words only have power when you give it to them. But bruh, you gotta remember the times.
The dude's been dead for
It's such like a shit argument, but it's it's the only way to explain it.
yeah.
no, I agree. It's like after a certain amount of you have to like what's the term for it?
I guess
It's like a psychological or sociological term where it's you have to see it from their point of view. Because like if you put yourself in their shoes, like what he did wasn't. I mean, sure, if you look at it now, it's kind of messed up. But like
back
in
then,
his time, like he was probably being progressive for his time. Like, come on.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like a while ago, if you were to say, you know, I think gay people should have the right to marriage. Like, if you were like a star, that would just end your career. Like, you'd just be done.
Ellen
Yeah.
almost lost her career because she came.
I
out
will say
gay.
this: John Wayne was known for being like super hard right Republican. So there's no
But the thing is,
confusion
like-
on how he felt about all these topics. But
for sure.
still, 50 fucking years ago. Like, how are you people? And for some reason, it's resurfacing now, even though this interview has been in Playboy magazine for 50 years.
That's the weird thing. It's like it feels like some people are looking for this stuff just to like bring up.
Oh,
But
people are looking.
At the same time, just because time has passed, we shouldn't necessarily give a pass, because let's say we found out like Kim Kardashian is also like kidnapping kids and like torturing them
Okay,
for like
there's
whatever.
a difference
All right,
between.
that's a little bit.
That's like there was a comment.
Like, if
different
they're-
from action.
There was
like,
a
if they had
comment.
slaves or something like that. It's like there's a certain line where
George
it
Washington
doesn't matter
had
how much
slaves.
time has passed.
Thomas
Well,
Jefferson
hold
had
on.
slaves, and they're on the dollar
Here's-
and they're on the
that's
dollar
the real
bills and
question.
coins.
Yeah,
Take
that
'em
actually
off.
does
Take
get
'em
brought
off.
up a lot. That just
Do you
brought
think-
up a lot. Where it's like, oh, they also had slaves, but it's like, dude, they treated their slaves like well. Like,
No,
I
no,
think
no,
it was
No,
Thomas.
George
actually-
Washington did not.
I
Did he
told
not?
Richard about this recently. So
Yeah.
George Washington, there was a law about serfs in the colonial times where if you lived in the same spot for 6 months, you were free. And George Washington would frequently move his slaves back and forth so that they continued being slaves. Knowing
Yeah.
Oh,
that,
wow.
would you continue to think that George Washington was a stand-up guy? Because
See, that's conflicting because
Yeah, it's so conflicting.
He-
'cause
he won-
still did great things.
he still did great things, but he still did shitty things. I mean, he's not like. I
thought
can
it was-
see in the future people want like to take his face off of like Mount Rushmore or something like that. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like the
That's-
Columbus thing right now, where people want us to stop celebrating Columbus Day because he basically helped create a genocide.
Well, also he didn't really even discover it, so fuck him.
yeah, he didn't.
Yeah.
He
got a lot
didn't
of credit
discover
for no
it,
reason.
and then when he did quote unquote discover it, he like almost eradicated an entire population.
No,
yeah,
he-
I love. I would love
he
to be
didn't get the
Christopher
eradication.
Columbus. Literally
enslaved
roll
them.
up. This is India, right? Everyone's like, no, this ain't India. Y'all Indians.
No, he said, "Y'all Indians, get in the boat. I'm taking you back."
Get
to my
in the boat, dude.
He said, "I'm taking you back to my country to prove that you guys are Indian."
By the way, wear this blanket that has what was it called?
Smallpox, but no, he
Yeah,
didn't-
smallpox. Yeah, wear this smallpox blanket.
That was the other settlers. Christopher Columbus was not.
Oh, okay. It
Sorry.
was the
When they came to actually settle land, they traded with the Native Americans to make them more friendly.
Thanksgiving, by the way.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to James Gunn. I personally
Mhm,
think
mhm.
I'm happy for him that he got rehired because when he did get fired, every single star of the Guardians cast like wrote a
Oh yeah,
petition and
they all
signed it.
vouched for him.
They were like, "Yo, hire this guy back. What are y'all doing?" So I feel like now because it's not just James Gunn that this has happened to. Like Kevin Hart, like his some
Oh
shit that
yeah,
he
he
said back
couldn't even
then.
host the Oscars or whatever.
Yeah, I feel
Or
like
Grammy,
now.
Grammy.
Could have.
They turned it down. They didn't even it didn't even get that far.
Well, I feel like now that James Gunn got his stuff back just because he's like a case where you can come back from this, which I feel like is
Yeah.
a good thing.
Also, I
think
want to be
Disney was
clear.
trying to save face at the time.
What'd you say?
I think Disney was just trying to save face at the time. I don't
That's
think
what I
it
was gonna say. I don't think Disney's at fault because
Dude,
when something like this
Disney
happens, it
should
looks
always be
bad
at fault.
on. It looks bad on Disney.
They're
Like
gonna
from
own
a
the
PR
world one day.
perspective, it made sense for Disney to get rid of something that's gonna be look bad on them. So for them, it's better to be safe and fire him than to keep him on. And all of a sudden, the only thing people are talking about when they think of your movies is, wait, they have that racist guy on the movie. It's like it's a really bad situation for them because if they fire him, it's like all the people on the other side are going to be like, oh, they won't even defend their own directors, blah blah blah, for things they did 10 years ago. This wasn't worth it. But then on the other side, it's like the people who think he should be fired are all going to associate Disney with like harboring him.
Well,
I think Disney, honestly, Disney is super smart. Like, first of all, they're not like like socially forward or anything or politically correct or anything. They literally just
With
pull
Star
and
Wars
whatever
they
will
are.
do the best. No, they're not. Anything the community wants, they'll put it in there, and it's all just to make more money. It's not actually because they care about any of that shit.
I
Like, they don't give a fuck.
disagree, but
Walt
No,
Disney
I
was
100%
racist, dude. Like that
Yeah.
dude was messed
They
up.
don't give a fuck. They're all about making money. That's all they care about. And
that is
100%.
true. But
I think they played the James Gunn thing 100% correctly to the T. You fire him initially when all this stuff's happening, it's a big thing, and everyone's
And
like,
then everyone's like,
"Woo,
"Oh wait, get him
Disney,
back, get him
fired him,
back."
good job." And then they're like, "Oh, we'll rehire him now." And then all the other fans are like, "No, ever so now both sides are like, woo, good job," because all the people who
Oh,
were
yeah, they
outraged
played
have
both
already
sides.
forgot. Yeah, they played both sides.
not smart.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everyone that was outraged just forgot about it already.
I mean,
Um,
there will be people that are pissed that he's back.
But
So
it's a
you'll-
lot
But
less
it won't
than
be as
initial.
big as the amount of people that would have been
Mhm.
pissed if he wasn't
Yep.
fired initially.
Yep. Exactly.
It's like a news article that just released and it's wrong at first, and then you published a revised article. People will still like keep on believing the original one, even if they do see the new one. So it's like they played both sides of the coin so well, actually.
Yep.
Wow.
Do you
They're
think the
insane.
Affleck duck should be rehired?
Who?
Affleck. The guy
What happened with him?
he made a really racist joke about Japan and the tsunamis.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I don't know.
Is it-
Think he
about
should get
that,
rehired?
I actually want to.
I just think it's weird how like some things you're allowed to joke about, and it's like people will be. It's like, oh, all comedy is fair, or I can't think of the term now. It's like fair game, but it's
Yeah.
like,
This is getting
and
into.
then another person will say this pretty much the same thing, but it'll blow up on him.
See,
There's actually. There, go ahead, Richard.
this is kind of like what Idom said on a Content Cop about like the use of the N-word. How
Either it's
but
all okay,
all okay,
or
or none of it's okay, and it's entirely one's opinion if they choose to be offended by something. Don't try to push that agenda on someone else because it's not going to work. So, but at the same time, don't excuse the usage of this type of language, but say this is unacceptable because they all have bad history and stuff behind it. You know what I mean?
It's just. I mean, it's just. Language and culture changes really over time. So like jumping back, so you said making the joke that Affleck guy got in trouble. Kevin Hart getting in trouble for stuff he made, like gay jokes he made. Like culture changes, right? And I actually looking at it, it's kind of fucked up, but pretty funny
really fucked
because when he went on Ellen basically gave him a gay pass.
Oh,
You look
are you
back on it.
serious?
Yeah, because he got in trouble for the stuff he said about gay people a while ago, like 8 years
Yeah.
or whatever ago. And then Ellen says he's not homophobic, he's cool. It's like giving him an end pass, but for the gay.
Oh my!
Mhm.
But for what I read when that happened with Kevin Hart, it wasn't like just jokes. Like he actually believes that.
No, the tweet was like. So it was a tweet in a quote from a movie, and in
was
the
three
quote
tweets.
from the movie, he said, "If my son was gay, I would slap him or something." I don't remember. It was like in the context of a movie.
Beat
So
him
I
with
don't
his
even think he
dollhouse.
Yeah, I don't think he really even said it. I think it was for a movie.
Oh,
that-
are you serious?
I think so. Yeah.
Because when I
There was-
first read
there's
about
three
it, it didn't
different
say it was like in the context of a movie. It just said that's like something he said.
Yeah, I
I
think
thought
he
it was
maybe wrote
something he
the
said
movie.
too.
So
I
that.
think he maybe wrote the movie, but it definitely was a movie.
Gotcha.
Well,
Well-
I didn't know that originally. That changes it a lot if that's the case.
Well, okay then. I feel like we've rambled on this topic enough because we can get real political with stuff like this.
Yeah, we're
So,
not. I don't want to touch the whole like.
We are about an hour.
I think. I'm fucking kidding.
Okay. We're gonna
Alright,
close it
so-
out with a something Zach said
At
we
this
should do this
stage-
at the end of the video since Seldon's worried about it being outdated if people start it.
Yeah.
If you're at this point of the
Since 50%
podcast,
of our
you've already
viewers
listened too much. So, this day in history, it is March
Today
16th,
is
2019.
March 16th, 9:46 Eastern Standard Time.
PM.
Log on to our podcast. Oh yeah, or 21:46 if you use broken ass military time.
Okay,
Hey, 90% of the world uses it.
what happened
Literally,
on
that is not accurate.
what happened on March 16th? Okay, we'll go. In 1926, Robert Goddard launched the first liquid-fueled rocket. The idea for this revolutionary rocket engine first appeared in a book by Russian scientist Konstantin. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the last name.
Constantine. Hey, anyways, you know what
Hey,
that
the
means?
U.S. Military Academy was established today.
Finally understand why Jimmy Neutron's dog was named Goddard.
Really?
Oh, that's
Uh,
nice.
Why was it? I didn't
Because
figure
the,
it out.
the rocket
first
ship.
rocket.
Yeah.
First rocket.
Huh.
Okay. In 1960, Alfred Hitchcock's movie Psycho is premiered. I thought that's pretty cool because I'm a big horror movie fan, and Psycho's like one of the biggest in I
still need
movies
to watch it.
influence
I've
the
seen
horror
parts of
genre.
it, but I've never seen it like start to finish.
Maybe we'll put it
Oh,
on
weird.
for the movie for next week.
Yeah.
Let us know what shows up.
Oh, we
Yeah,
definitely
leave a
little bit
comment
of-
if you want to see it in the movie night.
Little bit of
Yeah,
a more
message
sour
Dalton directly
tone.
at Guy at 1.
In 1968, U.S. troops massacre hundreds of unarmed citizens in Vietnam. The
Oh,
five,
that was today?
the 504 victims of the My Lai massacre included
Oh,
many
wow.
children and infants. And okay, now we're moving. I mean, all the rest of these are kind of dark. Both taking place in 1988, so same day. In Northern Ireland, a Ulster loyalist kills 3 people at a provisional IRA funeral. And
All right.
across the world, a poison gas attack kills 5,000 civilians in the
I think
Kurdish
we
town
can,
of
Skim over these.
Halabja. Something. It was something that it had something to do with Saddam Hussein. He like carried out a gas attack or
Oh.
something. So that was like one of his big things. Born today, Pat Nixon in 1912, which was, I believe was Richard Nixon's wife, the 39th First Lady of the U.S. I don't know who any of the rest of these guys are. Oh, 1954, Nancy Wilson. You guys know the band Heart?
Yeah.
Uh,
Hey.
they're the two sisters, Ann and Nancy Wilson, made the band. I'm a real big fan of them, so I thought that was pretty cool. Deaths on this day.
7?
I don't
I
know
got
who
one.
any of these
1770
people are.
or 1766. Britain repeals the Stamp Act. There
Oh,
you
that's
go.
a good
yeah.
one.
Oh
That's
wow,
pretty good.
that's
A
good.
little bit
yeah.
too late, but
Well, it's interesting to go back and see like what happened, even though today it seems to be a really shitty day in terms of.
Yeah, I really like this idea. Actually, it's cool.
well, today is comparable to the other days in history. To put it bluntly.
Anyway,
the first
thank
lighter
you for
fight-
tuning in to the Team Fish Taco podcast.
Thusly named the Titanic.
Thusly named the Titanic.
Oh my! All
It's like
right,
we
we're
sailed
done.
twice.
We're done.
We're
Mansfield
calling it
Yeti.
the Titanic. Titanic Team Fish Taco podcast. Because it's a fucking sinking ship.
It is. We are going down.